Okay, welcome to Stampscaping 101. This is a pre-recorded video here. In other words, not live. Thanks for tuning in. I thought I would do a little birthday scene. As in my birthday, and I'm treating myself to a grayscale scene. Not that I need to, but I like doing grayscale quite often. I don't do it as often as I do color scenes. I just feel people respond more to color than black and white. But this is a really great exercise to do, really for anyone, because I think it fine-tunes their kind of sensibilities when it comes to scenic lighting, because you're not dealing with things like hue, the color of something, or the temperature of something, or the intensity of it, because you're just dealing with grayscale, black and gray, usually temperatureless. I mean, you can add a little bit of tint to your grayscale compositions if you want to, but it's a really just fantastic way to fine-tune your eye, basically, and dealing with things like texture and values. It's a really great way to kind of just, like I said, fine-tune everything, fine-tune your eye for different types of qualities within kind of a limited range of I guess information that color can bring to something, temperature, intensity, hue. Okay, all right, so I'm just stamping this all out in a dye-based ink, and we're giving our structure. That's basically the same as this one here. This one's 8.5 by 6.5, so kind of a unusual size, but it was just in my scrap pile, so I'm making use of some scrap here. Okay, this is the sedge filler, and the sedge filler is good to add texture around your kind of structured items here. Now on this one, I'm going to add this little figure in here, but I'm going to cut her out later and just add her in. That way I can do whatever I want on here, not have to worry about anything. I don't have to mask her off or anything like that. She's an easy cutout, so let's just do that. Let's keep things as easy as possible here. Simple as possible. All of this is easy, but let's keep it as simple as possible, with the least amount of, tedium, that we can extract. Tedium, is like cutting out like careful masks and things like that, and being careful where we're, we'll be adding tone around the figure, if the figure's going to be a different tone or different, in this case, different value. Okay. Again, this one, I think I am still going to use my aspen tree. I'm just going to do it in... I'll do it in black. Maybe I'll put in some grayscale leaves into it. I'm not quite sure. Let's see how it goes. Now remember, because I'm doing this in black and white doesn't mean that it has to be dark or anything like that. You can still have it as a daytime type of thing. It's just like a black and white photograph as opposed to colored one. But yeah, I don't know. Let's just see how it goes. Okay, little peekaboo. type of thing with this tree. The quaking aspen large. Now after I get all this laid out in, well, as I'm saying that, I was going to say in black and white, I was going to say you can still do things in color, but I don't know, that quaking aspen in black and white is, that's pretty definitive there. Okay, let's see, let's get another one back in here, but let's do it in a lighter tone, okay? But I'm still just going to use black, so how do you get black to be a lighter tone in the impression? Well, it's simple. With, rubber stamps, they're printing mechanisms, so if you have less ink on them, they will print out lighter as a result. The thicker the ink, the more you have to kind of remove. Okay, so let's see, hopefully this will get result in a lighter impression and make it look like it's farther back in the scene, as well as being illuminated. Okay, I've got these little spaces like right in here, where I didn't mask off too carefully, or I masked off too much, I guess. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to take this like this, and I will make a little impression in there, getting some additional leaves. I'll just go like that. And over here it's just really small, but right in here I filled that in a little bit. Okay, now, let's see. While we're making our impressions, we might as well get our impression of our figure here. She's from the Moonlight Dreamers set, nature set number 30. And she works perfectly in this scenario, just leaning up against a tree like that. Oops, I got it real smudgy up there from something. I don't know what it was. Maybe we'll add a cloud up there. When you get smudgy like that, your cloud can come to the rescue if I can find it. Where is it? Here we go. I just re-inked my black pad right here. It's pretty juicy. I might have touched one of these things and kind of smudged up there a little bit. With the cloud cumulus, if you ever get this, the darker you ink it up, okay, the stronger this rectangle shape will show through, so, or show up, right? If you give it an impression. So what you do is you wipe off the edge, okay? And this is the way this stamp has been designed, so that this stamps out much lighter now. So it'll be much more billowy looking, okay? You don't really need to mask off the, the trees. I mean, the trees, unless you go way into them like that. But if you go into them a little bit, you don't need to mask, okay? Okay, let's see if I can get a lighter impression right here. I'm changing the angle like this, and I'm just going with the same impression, or the same inking, because I want this one to be much lighter, and there it is. So you have this little area below there, and that will be where the light is kind of come into the scene. All right, we have our basic composition here. It's like, 95% done. I'm going to go ahead and stamp out a lot of my scene right now. I would normally wait to add these foreground elements in later, but let's just go ahead and just stamp out, just almost everything. I don't know, I might stamp out a couple things later, but we'll get the majority of this kind of situated. So adding our grass down here at the base like that, and you can add the smaller reeds. Remember to put more pressure down here and not on the top of the reed. You don't want to smash it down like that, okay? And we'll put these reeds on the other side of this rock, like this. So these are the smaller ones, like this. You can use the larger ones again here, but the smaller ones will just, it'll change the perspective a little bit and kind of emphasize depth by just having kind of smaller forms to contrast against the larger ones like down here. All right. Let's do a little bit more here. All right, I've had it. I don't know, I went pretty extreme with the reeds, which I don't normally do, but maybe that's, the scene is just kind of bare right now without any tone kind of added in there. I don't know, I'm seeing this as kind of a more, I don't know, integral texture for the piece, just to fill it in. And that works pretty good, I think. All right, we have their little tiny rocks small here, adding it to some of the grass and down here in the water now. So if you put these little rocks like over the tops of those rocks down there, it just gives it a little bit more textural depth and richness. All right, now, like I said, we can tint our grayscale scenes. You can go in here and add your grayscale kind of lighting into this. And then, if you want to, you can kind of lightly tint it, you know, giving it a little bit of hue. You can add a warmer tinge, a cooler tinge. If there's some specific color you like purples or something like that, you can tint your grayscale kind of coloring and lighting scheme with that hue, and it'll give it that tinge of color, which is really cool to do. I don't know if I'll do that. I'm going to look at this when I'm done tinting here. And when I say tinting, I'm kind of like, I'm coloring, but for the most part, I'm kind of adding a lighting scheme to the piece, you know, to direct lighting within here. So I'll have it coming through here, just like I do on this one right here. All right, so I just use something quite simple for my coloring. If you haven't seen my videos before, I just grab a wadded up piece of paper towel. If you want to, you can use a cotton ball or a kitchen sponge, something like that. If what you want to do is you don't want to go into it with too much color ink right off the bat, okay? So I'm going to ink this up like this. Okay, and like I said, I had just re-inked my pad, so it's pretty juicy. Okay, so I don't want to just go straight into this because this is a really dark color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wipe some of it off like this to get it kind of more mid-tone like that. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go in here. By the way, this is a piece of, if I didn't say it, it's a piece of semi-gloss cardstock, okay? And it's fairly absorbent. I mean, you can do this on a glossy cardstock as well as your matte cardstocks. The matte cardstocks, they're a little bit more absorbent, you know, because they're less coated, so you might have to do this, you know, quite a bit more because the ink's going to be soaking into your page, okay? Alright, so I'm just kind of spreading this around like this. I'm going with a very light touch, okay? Some of you might start trying something like this. I hope you do try it out, but what you'll do is you'll go like this and you'll think, oh, there's hardly anything being applied there, but that's kind of what you want. You want it to kind of happen nice and slowly so that you have a lot of control over it. See, this is like a really light shade right there. It's like a 5% gray or something like that. So you just go over it a few times and maybe it's like a 20% gray, like that. Okay, but that's better than going like this and getting like a big slathering of like super dark ink. You can always go back in and darken it more like this. You can use different types of touches. I was going with a little circular pattern like this with a very light touch. Okay, you can swipe like this. You can do short strokes, you can do longer ones like that. It's a little bit kind of, like dry on dry, until you get a little bit of saturation laid down here. But remember, this is going to go really fast. I'm like halfway done with this toning right here. But see this right here in the trees, it's lighter on the insides of them like that and darker as you move out like that, towards the perimeter like that. And that's kind of directing lighting quite a bit more. Okay, let's do our lighting in our water down here. It's going to be a little bit lighter in here, and darker in the perimeter. It's kind of what's happening right in here. It's lighter in here, darker in the perimeter. Okay, but you can get into kind of a little bit more specific areas down here, like on the, bottom of the rocks. Leave the tops of the rocks a little bit lighter, or a lot lighter, and that way they will look more rounded in form like that. So, darker base and lighter top like that. More vignette kind of shading, in terms of the perimeter being a lot more shaded here. Okay, now everything's kind of shaded in here, but now I'm going to develop my areas a little bit more. I'll darken some areas, and you can't lighten some areas, but you can either make areas around something darker and make it look lighter. Like if you've toned something out a little bit too much, you can just make the area around it a little bit darker, and by contrast, it'll look lighter again. It won't make something look white again if you've taken color and, toned out white. But you can make it, you can have a very light looking gray, like, for example. So don't try to develop everything, with a full, value scale, white to black, in, a small area. Try to do everything, it's like 25% gray or something like that, and up, and lighter. And then what you do is you just make your areas a little bit darker, where you see fit. So like right up here, I'm going to make this a little bit darker. So I'm kind of refining things a little bit more. You have a chance to kind of look at the overall and make your assessment. Like at the base of this tree, going a little bit darker where the tree's very large, and now it's, it's casting its shadow down here. It's casting it over the top of this rock. I think that will do it. We have our lighting coming from this area right in here, flowing through there. And maybe I'll make these clouds just a touch darker on the top, but just a touch, you know. Maybe like at most 20% gray. Now, by doing that, it makes the clouds look bottom lit now. You know, and the lighting is kind of like down here, maybe on the horizon or something of that sort. Okay. We can add some refinements in here with like a colored pencil, or I don't know if it's refinements, but it's like kind of detail work in here. Well, I guess that's a refinement then too, right? And we can do this with this colored pencil because this is semi-gloss cardstock, so, you know, the colored pencil will stick to it. I don't think I need to do too much. I was able to get quite a bit of you know, some detail work done, which is with the paper towel. So, oh, like right in here, like around these trees where I kind of didn't get quite to the tree. Maybe I'll go in here and add a little bit of a tone using this colored pencil like that. Let's try some grayscale markers. I'll just go, I don't think I need to do too much here because, I don't know, like I said, you know, we've kind of developed things pretty fast, which is with that dye-based ink, so the alcohol marker, again, you can get in some areas that, you know, a little bit more specific than, you know, that paper towel, you know, a wadded up, you know, paper towel, so. You get a little bit richer though, I guess. This is another transparent medium here. And layered on top of, you know, other media, other transparent media at that. You know, dye-based inks are transparent. You know, you can potentially get a little bit more of a deeper, you know, looking visual. You know, deeper, richer looking visual. little bit of a darker gray. Trying to develop my shadows a little bit more. But I don't know, it doesn't seem like I'm doing too much here, but just laying kind of another layer of media down in kind of darker areas. It's kind of fun to do this, though. You know, watching this little bit of a kind of a refined mark on these pieces. I guess I can see it. All right, let's take a look at our figure here. Where'd she go? Let's get her toned in a little bit too. Let's develop her. I've been doing these flesh, skin-toned applications of color, so kind of strange going into just grayscale here. So light, dark, and then light again. Light gray in this case. And this is another piece of same type of paper. Maybe I'll cut off the line around her shoulder because the background's going to be darker, so it'll define. I don't need the outline to define the form. All right. As someone pointed out, hey Kevin, you should color the side of this. And I will do that right now, just so that edge doesn't show up. And I'll get some of that area colored in. Where I didn't cut it perfectly. Okay, let's give it a positioning and see how it looks. I think she looks pretty good. Let's see, I'm not sure where I'll put her. Maybe clear over here, huh? Like way over here into the light, like that. Or you can make her even come like that. I think that'd be kind of interesting, about right there. All right, let's get her glued down. too much on. Spread this around a little bit. I'm going to tilt her up slightly like this. She's leaning up against the tree a little bit more. All right. There. Much easier than stamping around than kind of masking her off and kind of working around her. Although, you know, you can do that if you want to, but she's an easy one to really cut out, so let me anchor her down a little bit more with creating a shadow around her. All right, let's create a little bit of shimmer in here. Let's see, do I have a gray paint pen? A gray large paint pen? I don't know if I do. I think this is silver here. Although, silver might be kind of interesting. Yeah, that's silver there. They don't make a kind of like a gray, I don't think. That would kind of be a boring color for them, I guess, in paint pen form. No one wants a gray. They all want colors to, you know, paint on rocks with. Silver, gold, that type of kind of fun and exciting color. So gray is, you know, I don't know if it's out there. You know, at least in 3mm pens. And the 0.7 it is. All right, but anyways, adding a little bit of sparkle to my water down here. It doesn't stand out too much because I'm adding this kind of in the light, very light areas, okay? Or light area right down here. And I'll add some of this in my grass. I'm going to go over these areas with a little bit of diffusion afterwards with the white paint, white pigment ink. So I'm going to just apply this with that in mind. Meaning I can apply more than I think I'll need or what looks good, because I can, if it looks just too busy with these little dots, little highlighting dots, I can go back in and I can alter that later on. I can mute some of them out, texturally mute things out with a little bit of a softer application. Okay, going into this darker tree right here. And again, trying to make it kind of look like it's real shimmery. If anyone is kind of a fan of the black and white, you know, movie, again, you know, I mean, when you're doing things like this, it kind of takes on that spirit, you know, of a, you know, a black and white movie or black and white photograph, that type of thing. It's a little bit more stampy noir. right, one of the things that's that I'm looking at here is I think things are a little bit too light behind her. I want to darken them in to bring more emphasis onto her. Okay, so I'm going to come in here and just darken up some of this area back in here. All right, so I feel that she's standing out much more now. And maybe the same for the area right around her. I'll kind of darken in the grassy area for the most part. Sacrificing some of my lighting for, the sake of drama here. So I've muted out, some of the lighter tones right here and kind of over here too. I'll just have that light kind of coming through here like that. White pigment ink. We will start adding it into our lighter area. And we will bring it into the areas around it, okay? Or objects around it. You get that real dreamy kind of look over the tops of kind of this diffused imagery right now. It's with the trees. It has that real soft look to it. Soft lighting look, I should say. And we have our clouds here. We can make those clouds look a lot softer and more billowy. Well, I don't know about billowy, but kind of glowing and illuminated. Like that. You don't cover it all, but you cover it in the illuminated portion of it. Alright, we have that nice kind of glowing light, glowing soft light in the piece. Removing some a little bit right there is a little bit too much all around in here. So you can just kind of rub it off. While it's still a little bit damp. My pen's scooping up some of that pigment ink, clogging my pen here while I work with it. Oh, here, let's see. You gotta be a watch out for that if pigment ink goes up in your tip here, because that pigment ink is a fast drying style of ink. It's designed to dry fast, and you don't want that in your acrylic paint pen tip here, because it's also water based, and you know, you want this really flowing really well. There we go. All right, there we go. My Grayscale film noir version. Maybe not film noir, but yeah, whatever. Classic film rendition of this composition right here. Seems like it'd be something from the Art Nouveau period or something like that. Alright, hope you like this video and this version of this scene. I'd always recommend giving a try in Grayscale. These scenes can come together pretty fast. Like I said, we're not dealing with so much color, so you can get a lot of information down. Sans, color. Now, like I said, if you really want to tint this, you can do it. I like tinting these types of things with like a warm color scheme, like a distress ink, antique linen, or old paper, or something like that, and just giving it kind of a warmer grayscale. Or you can give it a cooler one with like a nice, really super pale blue, like a distressing tumbled glass or a memento summer sky, something like that. It'll give the piece a little bit more temperature, or a lot more temperature, if you do that type of thing. So warming or cooling like that, but with some really light tones. I guess you know, if you have a favorite color too, violet or something like that, you can come into it with something like that and add a really light pale tone of that, but try to retain some of these areas of illumination within your piece. Don't just tone out everything. and then lose kind of your top end lighting in there. If that still exists at this point in time, sometimes people color it all in, you know, and it just doesn't have the lightest areas, but that's okay though. But if you come into it with another color, you know, try to retain the lighting that you do have in there, and it'll just expand on your value range as far as the information that you're depicting. And that's good when you're working with a kind of a limited range of media or colors or something like that. In this case, the absence of color. So you want to retain the information that you have. And one of them, big one, is your lighting scheme. Okay, if you've stayed with this video, this broadcast or whatever recording for this long, I thank you for watching. And if you like these videos, hope you like, subscribe, and comment. And hope to see you on the next video.